All right, welcome into another edition of Downtown Browntown. I'm excited. This week is draft week. We are just days away from the draft being here at Union Station in downtown Kansas City. Some exciting times. I'm super stoked to see what the Chiefs do, along with the other teams. There's been a lot of exciting news. I don't want to get too far into some of this stuff, as we're going to be having the Take a Shot podcast later this week, where we're going to discuss a lot of that. Like the Aaron Rodgers official today, so I don't want to get too far into that. A lot of rumors flying around, but really what I wanted to do today was do a mock draft simulator and really show you guys maybe some scenarios that the Chiefs might have on Thursday night and show you who might be available when they pick. In this scenario, I really want to look at no trades. I think there's a chance that the Chiefs trade up. I think there's a big chance that the Chiefs trade up if the right person falls. The more that some of these rumors come out, like, let's be honest, as much as they are publicly talking about wide receivers, they're publicly talking about, Zay Flowers is down there catching passes at camp. Oh, man, Quentin Johnston's down there. We might trade up for them. We like those guys. Maybe that's a smokescreen that they go in a different direction, because the Chiefs are very quiet. They're very secretive. They don't talk a lot about their options. So, I want to talk about what are some choices that the Chiefs will have on draft night if they stick at 31. I'm going to stick to just 3 rounds. This website that I'm using, Pro Football Network, allows you to go 7 rounds, allows you to trade. I don't want to go through all of the whole 7 rounds. I don't want to nerd out that far. I've done a couple of those on my own, but for the listeners checking in to see what the Chiefs are going to do early, I'm just going to stick to the first 3 rounds. So I'm going to kick this off, and as we get to pick 31, I'll show you guys who's available and make a pick, and then we'll go on through the second and third round. So the draft is started. By the way, tonight I'm drinking another Yingling, taking it easy. We'll have to Take a Shot podcast on Thursday, where we're going to bring you some great draft coverage and some NFL coverage, like I talked about with the updated trade that went down today, some of the crazy rumors that are going on out there. Draft week, you can never be sold on anything that people are telling you. So here we go. Chiefs are on the clock. This website does offer trades. So as I mentioned earlier, they may offer me a trade, or I could offer them a trade. It did just pop up with the trade that if this trade became available to Brett Beach on draft night at pick number 31, he better take it. Let's see here. The Chiefs would trade pick number 31 and pick 250 to the San Francisco 49ers for pick number 99, Brandon Ayuk, and a next year's second round pick. You can't pass up on that deal if it's there. But I don't think that deal is going to be there on draft night. That's just not something that's going to happen. So we're going to go ahead and reject that offer. There's also another one in there that's pick 36 and 69 from the Rams for pick 31 and 122. You might look at that. You're only moving back 5 spots. So you could look at the board, see who's available. Is that, are there 6 guys that you like on the board? Know for sure that you're going to get one of them? Maybe. But in this scenario, we're going to stay put, because I think that Clark Hunt has final say-so, and Clark Hunt doesn't want a letdown on draft night. He doesn't want booze on draft night. It's a party. He wants you to pick at 31 if you're Brett Veach. So we're going to go ahead and reject that. But again, that's not a bad trade. That's a lot of value there, 36 and 69. So in that scenario, you would pick at 36, 63, and 69. That's nice. 69, nice. So we're going to go ahead and move on from that, reject that one. Then you got pick 31 for pick 53 and Cole Met from the Bears. Again, a player trade like that's probably not going to happen, so we're going to reject that. So now we're on the clock, and some of the players available notedly. You got Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. Anton Harrison, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. You got Zay Flowers from Boston College. It looks like he fell in this scenario. You got DeJuan Jones, the tackle from Ohio State. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a lot of rumors about, well, one in particular rumor from Jahmyr Gibbs today on Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs that the Chiefs are enamored with him. The Chiefs love him. I think that's a smokescreen. There's no way in hell that on draft night the Chiefs are going running back in round 1. In the Andy Reid era, the entire time that he has been a head coach anywhere, he's drafted one running back in the first round, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's the only one that he's ever drafted in round 1. Didn't work out so well. Not that Clyde's been absolutely horrible, but he hasn't lived up to that first round grade, first round pick. So I would be shocked, flabbergasted, if that's what the Chiefs did at pick number 31 is went with a running back. I'll go further than that. I would be ticked off. I'd be pissed. That's not a pick that makes any sense. That's a luxury pick. And sure, the Chiefs can pick for luxury here. That's fine. But you've got some needs here. You could go wide receiver. You could go tackle. You could go in a lot of different directions. So I look at it from this perspective. Chiefs, I think they like their wide receiver room right now. I don't know if they love it, but I think they like it. I've really been talking myself into receivers because I love Zay Flowers. I think, I talked about it on the last edition of Downtown Browntown. I think Zay Flowers is a great fit for this team. He could be the most pro-ready wide receiver probably in this draft class, him or Jordan Addison. I love either one of them on this team. There's only one wide receiver spot left in this room. You've got Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, MVS, Richie James that you just signed, Justin Watson that you just signed, and both of those guys are probably locks. For sure, Justin Watson's a lock. With his contract, he's making the team. They're not cutting that and taking that dead cap on a Justin Watson. Richie James probably makes this team because of his special teams ability. He's going to return punts. You want to keep Kadarius Toney healthy. You're not going to have him back there returning punts. Sky Moore, outside of 1-2 punts that he did really well on, not that great at punts. Not to say that he can't get better, but they probably want somebody more reliable, and that's Richie James. So you really got one wide receiver spot open. So how much do they view that one wide receiver spot as a need, or is it a luxury? Can they take that person in round 2, round 3 if the value's there? So then you start looking at other positions. What do they need? Maybe they, value tackle. Maybe they value corner. Maybe they value, you could go in a lot of different directions, right? So with the way that this board fell, Anton Harrison would be, a really good pick. I'm going to, for all sakes and all intended purposes, I'm going to say Zay Flowers is off the board. There's no way that Zay Flowers falls to 31. The simulator, I think, got it wrong. So I'm taking Zay Flowers off the board. He's not an option. I'm also going to look at one of those two tackles isn't going to be there, DeJuan Jones or Anton Harrison. I don't know if I trust picking a left tackle at 31, and that's what Anton Harrison is. I think I got to look at the value and go best player available. So we are going to draft Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. He's a pass catcher, right? Like, take away for a second that he is a tight end and think about the Chiefs just grabbing another pass catcher. You also have to think at some point, like Travis Kelce's got maybe 2 years at best at playing at a high level. He's going to play probably a little bit longer than that, but maybe he just decides like, man, I want to hang this up. Like, I'm really good at being behind the mic. I can do a lot of different things. Maybe in 2 years, he's just like, man, I want a couple Super Bowls because they're probably going to win a couple more. And he's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm feeling pretty good about my career. I've played until I'm 35. So you got to start looking at a replacement there too. And let's be honest, the Chiefs love running 12 and 13 personnel, meaning that they are out there with 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends. You got to have more than one. And Jody Fortson hasn't shown a ton. He's shown potential, but he's on a 1-year deal. Blake Bell is he's a blocking tight end. He's on a 1-year deal. Noah Gray's your prototypical tight end, a little bit of both, but you bring in a Michael Mayer and he is instantly your number 2 tight end on the roster, and he gets to learn behind the greatest of all time. You got to like that. All right, so now we're on the clock again. We're at pick number 63. So we have filled the tight end position. We still have some needs. Like I said from my previous podcast, I think the biggest needs on the team are edge, tackle, and wide receiver. So we start looking at, okay, who's available here in the second round at pick number 63. Some of these guys are just not going to be here. Mozzie Smith is on the board. He's not going to be available. He's really the only one that I would say is just for sure not going to be available. Jack Campbell, linebacker out of Iowa, is available in this mock. Brett Veach loves his second-round linebackers, but I don't think that he's going to go that way. The linebacker room is stacked right now. So I'm looking at best value here, and got a couple options here. Derek Hall, defensive end out of Auburn, run stuffer. He's going to come in day one and be able to stuff the run. He's got some potential to grow into a good pass rusher. He could be a good running mate for George Karlaftis on the other side for years to come. But he's going to, at bare minimum, come in and be a great run blocker. So you've got that. Let's see. You got Rashee Rice, wide receiver out of SMU. Who else we got here? Trey Palmer, wide receiver out of Nebraska. I think it'd be a little bit early to take him. Not seeing that as an option. Ooh, here's one that I really like. Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle out of Florida. You turn on the tape of Gervon Dexter, and you're watching Chris Jones out of college. Not Chris Jones in the NFL, but you're watching Chris Jones out of college. Explosive, gets to the backfield. You don't really know how he gets there because he's kind of slow off of the ball, but he's always in the backfield. He's always making plays, eating up those double teams. Watch some of his tape out of Florida. Just an incredible job. Think about somebody that plays like Chris Jones playing next to him in this defense. That's kind of scary. So I think this really comes down to you've got two options here. Jonathan Mingo's on the board too. I love Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Drawing a lot of comparisons to A.J. Brown. A lot. Same college. Same build, same speed, potentially the same round 2 that A.J. Brown went in. We're going to go ahead and pass on Jonathan Mingo. We're going to look at adding to the defensive line here. And I think adding a playmaker in the middle of that defense like Gervon Dexter is just too much to pass up on here. Potentially one of the better defensive tackles in this draft. So we're going to go ahead and select Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle out of Florida. Man, those two in the middle could be absolutely scary, especially if you bring back somebody like Frank Clark to play on the outside or Carlos Dunlap, whose name I forgot on the last podcast. One of those two guys comes back and you feel even better about that defensive line, and it honestly even kind of starts to become a strength at that point, right? So here we are. We're about to come up on our next pick number 95. This will be the last one that I do tonight. Yes, I am enjoying a nice cold Yingling tonight, laying off of the shots. I'll save that for later. I think I might have already mentioned that, but just a little plug there for Yingling. Absolutely love their beer. Okay, so here we are, pick number 95. We've got some options again. We still haven't filled a wide receiver spot. Maybe we get a veteran there if we don't get somebody here in the first couple rounds. We have filled our defensive end. Or defensive line, I should say. I think that you could really add anywhere across the defensive line, especially if you bring back a veteran and you feel pretty good about it. So maybe we look at tackle. Let's see who's available on the tackle list here. You got Matthew Bergenson out of Syracuse. Not a huge fan of him. Got Jalen Duncan on the board. Love Jalen Duncan. I think that he could come in and be, a competition for Lucas Niang at right tackle, really push him. He's really raw. He's out of Maryland. I think that he has some potential to come in and, maybe be your long-term bookend there. Let's see what's available at wide receiver. Jonathan Mingo is still on the board here. For all intents and purposes, we're going to pretend that Jonathan Mingo is not on the board because he's not making it to pick 95. There's mocks out there that have him going as early as 31 to the Chiefs. Peter Schrager, who is one of the most plugged in to the Chiefs and just plugged in out there, did mock him at 31 to the Chiefs. So that's just how high that teams think of him. Not saying the Chiefs are going to take him there, but there's a lot of talk that teams like him in that second round from what I hear. So he's probably not going to be there. So for this exercise, we're just going to pretend he's not there. Let's see if there's any real person that sticks out on the edge. Maybe we really just go twice here at the defensive line. Nothing I'm liking there. So let's go back to offensive tackle here. And we're going to select Jalen Duncan out of Maryland. And I feel like that's a pretty strong class that we just drafted there, 1 through 3. You come out with a great pass catcher in Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Got Gervon Dexter out of Florida, a great pass rushing defensive tackle that can come in and play next to Chris Jones and learn from one of the greatest. Kind of look at the motto of that draft there, or the theme of that draft. You bring in Michael Mayer to learn from Travis Kelce. You bring in Gervon Dexter to learn from Chris Jones. That could work out really well. Those are two of the greater guys in the league at what they do. Maybe it's not a bad idea to bring in the guys that can learn from them and then one day down the road replace their production. And then you got Jalen Duncan, who I think is going to come in and be able to compete for that right tackle job. As I said, very athletic and raw. He's got some learning to do, but showed a lot on tape, and he's just a massive, massive guy. 6'7", 6'8", over 300 pounds, just a big human being out there on the edge. So he could maybe protect Patrick Mahomes' right side there. So tell me what you guys think in the comments about this. Anything that you would have done differently knowing the players on the board, any draft crushes that you guys have, I'd love to see them in the comments. And I look forward to getting with you guys, all of our listeners, all 9 of you now. We're starting to grow a little bit. On Thursday for the NFL draft, we'll have some coverage for you from the Take a Shot podcast with pregame coverage or pre-draft coverage. And we've been talking about maybe doing some live coverage, giving you some live reactions to some picks, and then some post coverage real quick, just letting you guys know what we think. Again, we're not experts, but we love talking this stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and much appreciate you guys joining me tonight for the Downtown Browntown episode number 2.